Hi everyone, this is Donnie, and you're watching Diamond Painting by Donnie. However, today we will not be diamond painting. We will be using this Red Heart Loop It fingering looping fun yarn to make a quick and easy hat. I know a lot of you were interested in seeing me make this since I made Teslin her very own. And here's a picture of her wearing the hat that I already made. Now, I've never really been good at doing crochet tutorials or any kind of yarn tutorial, so I'm going to give this my best shot. So you're going to want to find this is all you need. You don't need, you might need a needle at the very end, but to do this project, you just need this. Now, you're going to need to find the end. Okay, so here is the end of it. Now, if you don't have a measurement of the head that you want to use it for, you're going to want to get one because this yarn, the way that we're going to do this, it's not going to have a stretchy band. It's going to fit, it's going to conform to fit perfectly to the head that you're going to do it for. I'm going to do it on my own head. For this one's going to be for me, so I will measure it as I go. And it's easy to do because you're just going to take this first row to make the edging. And you're going to take your right loop, you just find the end, and they fall into place. I mean, they may look, you know, all out of sorts in all different directions, but if you just shake it, they'll go into place. And it doesn't really matter as long as you've got the loops facing in the right direction. But you're going to take your first loop and you're going to feed it through the left loop like that. And then you're going to, so what you have left is the one that was originally on the right. So that went through the left loop. So now you have this loop left, the one that was on the right originally. So you're going to do it again. Take your right loop, feed it through your left loop. So what you have left is the one that was originally on the right. Now you don't have to worry about tension or anything because these are all the exact same size loops. So you don't have to worry about pulling on it because there's nowhere for it to go. This is all you have and there's not going to be too much or too little. Every stitch is going to be the same size. If you want to call it stitches. I don't know what you would call it when it's done like this. So you're going to just continue doing that until you get it to the size you want. I'll show you again. Take the right loop and stick it through your left loop. And as you can see, if you've ever done crochet, you can see it looks like it's a chain. Looks like it's starting a chain there. I'll do a couple more and then I'll meet you at the end. Right loop through your left loop. Right loop through the left loop. And if you notice, you're going, it's kind of easy if you just stick your left finger through the hole here and you put this one underneath your finger. And then you can just grab it and pull it out. This yarn is very soft. I love this type of material. I have several blankets made out of this material. I love it so much. See, this one's kind of down here on the bottom. You're just going to bring it to the top and feed it through your left loop. Now, if that went too fast, you can either slow it down or I'll show you slowly. Right loop underneath the left loop. There. Look how much we've got already. All right, so I'm going to continue, and I will see you at the end of the row, and then I'll let you know what to do from there. All right, I now have it the right length. How many, for my head, I needed, let's see, 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12, 14, 16, 18, 20, 22, 24, 26, 28, 30, 32, 34. So I have a fairly small head. So like I said, you're going to want to measure the person's head because it will not stretch. The rim will not stretch. So you're going to want to make sure it's going to be something that will fit over the largest part of the head. Okay. So next, you're going to continue on in a circle. What you're going to want to do is make sure that the chain part is facing you, because this is going to be the outside of the hat. And you're going to be working around in a circle on the top of the loops for this first row. Well, this would be the second row. This is the base row, and then this will be the first row. My first loop broke, so I have this loop here. You're just going to ignore that. I mean, not this loop, but this well, it was a loop. But the broken loop, it's going to be something that you'll want to weave in afterwards. But for now, you're going to take the loop that was at the end, and you're going to just bring it through the top loop like that. I know it's kind of hard with this, the different colors here, but this here, I'll take it out here. This was the last loop of the chain. Here's the rest of the chain that we haven't worked yet. And here's the end of the very beginning chain that we worked with. You're going to take your last loop from your beginning row, and you're going to just stick it in from the back of the top of the first chain. The very first chain is right there, and that was the top. And then next, you're going to take your next piece of your unworked yarn. You're going to take that, and you're going to bring it into the back of your next, the top of the next chain. So here's the third one, the top of the chain. Here's the chain right here. The chain is made of these two pieces. You're going to take this top one, and that's the one you're going to use. You're going to take your next loose chain loop that's attached to your yarn that you haven't worked with yet, and you're going to just bring it in through the back of that top of the loop of the chain, the top loop of the chain. And you're going to continue doing that all the way until this row is done. Just continue taking the next empty loop that hasn't been done anything with yet, and you're going to just tuck it in through the back of the top piece of the chain. And here's the next piece of the chain at the top, my empty loop. Bring it in through the back, and there it is. Just continue all the way around, doing the same thing. All the way until you get to the beginning of this row. Very easy. Empty chain, or empty loop, I should call these loops. Empty loop, top of the chain, top piece of the chain right there, empty loop, bring it in through the back into the hole and pull it up. Like so. Okay, I think we got it. If not, go ahead and rewind and rewatch. If you have something where you can do it in slow motion, go ahead and slow it down a little bit. I'll go really slow on this next one and then I'll meet you at the end. Back, loop of unworked yarn, chain from the first row. There's the 2 pieces of yarn from that chain. Take your loop, lift up separate the pieces, lift up, you just want the 1 piece of yarn here. Take your loop and tuck it in. Bring it up, and you're done. That's it. All right, I will meet you at the end of this row. Okay, the first row of the hat is now complete. So you should have an entire circle with loops sticking out all the way around. So from here on out, it's very simple. So now all you have to do is continue with the loops from your working chain, your working yarn, and just put them in through the loops in the previous row, through the back. As you do that, your hat will start to form. When you get to the point where you feel your hat's going to be long enough, well, just before you feel it's going to be long enough, you're going to start decreasing so that it can come to a formed top so that it's not just straight up. You're going to want at that point to decrease, and I will show you that once we get there. But as you can see, I've done a few already in this row, and you can see the pattern sort of. Because of the coloring, it's kind of hard to see, but it looks like it looks knitted on this side. If you look on the other side, it will look like it's purled. So, I don't know if this would be considered crochet or knit. It's just called finger yarn. So I don't know what, it's knitting. I think would be considered finger knitting, even though the first row would be more like crocheting. So your first row is crocheted, basically, and the rest is knitted. So just continue on. And when I get to the point where I feel I need to start decreasing for my head shape or how high I want the hat to be, I will come back with you and I will show you how to decrease. Okay, I just tried my hat on and I have it to the point where now I want to start tapering it in because it is at the crown of my head. And I did a total of, let's see, counting the first row, did the first row and then I did 1, 2, I went 3 times around. So, I mean, that looks kind of large, but it really isn't because, you know, that's the width of a head. In fact, I probably should have made it 1 stitch larger because it's pretty tight. So 35 would have been the perfect number for me to do for this hat. So next thing we're going to do is show you how to start reducing to make the hat curve in at the top. Okay, I took a little break. It was actually several hours because I had to take my daughter to the doctor. But I came back and decided there's no way I was going to be able to wear the hat as tight as it was. So I pulled all this out and I redid the bottom row with 1 extra stitch. And I tried it on and it fits much more comfortably now. So I worked this back up to the point where I was before I took that little break. And so now we are back at the same position where I've done 3 rows. I don't know if I am in the same position. I think my zoom is a little off, a little different than before. But you can see this is where the first stitch was because that's where my little tail is. And you can see the 3 rows, 1, 2, and 3. And here's the last stitch I did, 1, 2, and 3. This first one is the that first row that I'm not counting. I'm counting the first 3 full rows. This one right here was the one where we pulled it through the top loop of the border. So I did 3 rounds, not rows, sorry, 3 complete rows around. And this is where you're going to do it to suit the person's head that this is going to go to. So this is made to fit me. As you can see, it looks kind of big because of the fact that this is not stretchy and it is made of a bulky yarn. And that's why it's so easy to make up quickly, because it is so thick and there's no stretch to it really. I mean, there's a little bit of stretch going this way, but not much at all. So what we're going to do here now is I'm going to start reducing. If you saw the hat I made for my daughter, it comes to like a point, like an elf hat would, or a stocking cap. I don't know what they call those, where they are long. They kind of, elves wear them. And it kind of slouched at the end. I don't want that type for myself. So I'm going to do more decreasing than I did on hers. Okay, now that we're at the point where we need to decrease, it's going to basically be just what you were doing before. But instead of just going through one loop, you're going to go through 2 of these loops. So you're going to take your loop that's on your working yarn and you're going to put it through 1 loop, and then you're going to put it through a 2nd loop. So that's a decrease. Your next one you're going to put through 1 loop. Next one you're going to put through 2 loops. And so on. We will do this for the entire row. And you're going to do it to your specifications. So if you're going to want a more pointier hat, then you're just going to keep doing this until you run out of loops to do, and then you'll finish it off. But if you want it more of a domed hat, like a regular cap, you're going to do it more often. So let's finish this row and I'll meet you at the end. I mean this round. Okay, I've gotten to the last stitch around, and as you can see, it's starting to curve inward. The shape is actually curved in a bit. I'm going to try it on my head and make sure that it's still at the appropriate spot that it needs to be at this point. See, I want mine to cover my ears. So yeah, it's doing good. It's almost to the point where it needs to come to an end. So I'm not going to follow this pattern for the next row. What I'm going to do is I'm going to decrease all the way around this next row. Okay, so I actually tried a row of just decrease next, but it's too small. So because this is so easy to work up and so quick to work up, it's not hard to pull a row out and redo it. It's rather simple. I mean, it takes less than 5 minutes to do a round. So the next round here, I'm going to just pick up where I left off. My last stitch was a double. So the first stitch in this row, next one will be a single stitch, or I don't know what you would call it when it's loops, a single loop. And then the next one will be a decrease loop. And I will go in this round the same as before, as the previous round. Double and then single, double, and then single. You kind of have to watch these double loops because they tend to, if you don't pull them through all the way, they tend to want to fall out if you're moving it around a lot. So see, that was a single, and the next one will be a double. So at this point, I'm going to be trying it on after every row and adjust it accordingly to how I want it. Okay, you can see now how it's got the curve going up, and it allows for a little bit more headroom. So it's definitely got more room than it was last time when I just did the double row. So I'm going to try it on. Okay, so it fits good. I can either, at this point, finish this off by doing the doubles all the way to the top and finishing it. Or I could actually make it into a ponytail hat, or messy bun hat is what they call them. To do that, all you would have to do is just close this up at a certain spot that you want it. Like right here, you could even just run a loop through all these loops here and tie it off, but that's kind of a big hole for a ponytail. I would suggest going another round. Let's try doing the doubles all the way the rest of the way around, and then maybe tying it off. Now, the first one I did for Teslin, I made a ball or a pom-pom at the top. I don't know that I want a pom-pom, but I can show you how to do it. It's just, you're basically, all you're doing is taking a wad of the yarn that's left over. You're winding it around your hand, and then you're gonna tie a piece of the yarn that you cut off around it, trim it, and then attach it with some thread to the top of your hat. Now I just used a length of the yarn. I cut the loops in here, right in between the middle. You can see where they're connected by a piece of thread, and you can just cut that and make it into straight yarn. There's just different ways you can do it. It's just your basic tying off, but for people who've never, done any kind of hat making or any kind of stuffed animals with crocheting or knitting, you may not be aware of how to do that kind of stuff. And this type of yarn is basically meant for people. I mean, it's not meant for, but it's geared towards people who don't do any sort of crocheting or knitting, because it's just that simple. Okay, so right there is a hole that would be good for a ponytail or a messy bun. And I think I'm going to leave it like that because I have my hair in a ponytail most of the time. And even if I don't, that's not enough of a hole to matter to really let the air in. So what I'm going to do here is I'm going to try and figure out how we'd go about closing this, because like I said, I did it differently with hers. But I think what I'm going to do, see, and I have quite a bit of yarn left over. It's so weird calling this yarn because it just doesn't feel like yarn. Let's see. We could take it We could just take one loop here and go through all the loops that are left, which aren't very many. There's 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Well, that's actually going to close it up. So I guess it's not going to be a messy bun hat. So if I wanted to make it that, I would have done it in the previous row. So that kind of finishes it off right there. You could just pull it through, I guess, if you want more. So you can get more loops through it. You just have to work it through because I put it through so many different loops. You can just keep pulling to get more of them. Or you could use a crochet hook or something. See, there we go. There's another one. Let's get another one through. It's going to be that white one. Like I said, I'm not a professional. There we go. I got a few of them coming through here. So what I'm going to do, I want to leave enough to that should be enough to tie it off. So I'll show you how to cut these loops. So here's one of the loops. I'm just going to cut it right here in between at the base. Make sure you're getting the thread that's in there and not the loop itself. And see, it made it one piece of yarn. So that, what I'm going to do is I'm going to cut right there at the end of it. I'm going to pull the rest of it through. So now I'm going to cut these other loops to give me some yarn to work with to tie it off, to secure it. There's that one. And between the two colors, right there. Yeah, I got plenty of loops. These loops actually make quite a bit of yarn when you pull it out. My poor little girl, she just keeps getting sick over and over again. So if you're watching my channel for the first time, I don't normally do crochet or any kind of needlecraft on video. I normally do diamond painting. This is just a one-time thing. And my regular viewers wanted to see it. And they are aware of my little girl who's always in here with me. She is part of my channel. She's just like my third arm. She's always with me when she's home. Okay, we got one more loop to cut and then we are through them all. Okay, so look at how much that made. It's quite a bit. Because I really don't want all this on the outside of my hat. So I'm going to take and loosen it up just a tad bit. I mean, it would be nice if I had the hole there for my ponytail. I could probably make it. If I stretch it out a little bit, I could maybe, yeah, but that doesn't quite look right. That really doesn't look right. And it looks like I stretched out that one that I Oh, that's the yarn that I cut. Okay. So now that I have the hole opened up again, I'm going to take this, the end of this, and I'm going to tuck it into the inside. I'm going to pull it through and tighten it back up again. So there, it's all, there's no pucker on the outside, and I just broke it. I pulled a little too hard. So I don't know how I'm going to fix this, but I'm going to try tying it in a knot. I don't think that's going to work. Hey, see, this is the kinds of things that actually happen to people who aren't professionals. It's unraveling, so there's not even anything to grab onto. So, but that would have looked really good had I been able to pull it through and secure it. What I would have done is taken my needle here and I would have threaded this through. Like so. And I would have weaved it.
I'm not sure what went wrong.
Alexa likes to interrupt me all the time, I tell you.
I don't know that.
See? Okay, well, what I'm going to try to do here, because I do have it threaded, I'm going to try to just run this around those loops that I ran the last of the yarn through. I'm going to just take this and run it through, go all the way around and just make a new one basically. I'm just hoping it doesn't unravel the hat itself. Bring it around to the rest of them the best I can see. Go all the way around. Meet back at the beginning. There we go. And I'm going to just try and secure it by knotting it up. Apparently this is very fragile because it's these fibers are just put on some thread. So you can't do a lot of pulling on it. I did notice, see, this is the Red Heart brand. It's called Loop It. I showed it at the very beginning. It's the Red Heart Loop It, finger looping fun. They have another brand. This I paid $3 for on sale at Michael's. It was on sale, and with coupons I got it for $3. This is the Tickle Pink and Purple color. There is 3.5 ounces or 100 grams. That's the weight, and there's 7.6 yards, which is 7 meters. It's 100% polyester. But I was at Joann's during my little break, and they have another brand, and it was on sale, and it was $7.99 on sale. So I'm not sure if they have a little bit more in the those skeins or whatever balls that you'd call them, but they are a bit more expensive. So now I'm just running this through to tie it off to kind of, so I don't want to leave too much of a lump at the top though, but I want to make sure it's not going to unravel. So I'm just gonna run it through one more time here. And actually I'm going to pull that back up, stick the other end through there, get that kind of tied down. You can see where it's still unraveling. All right, so I'm going to leave a tiny bit of a tail. And yeah, I'm just going to cut this one too. A little bit of a tail. And now I have this right here. Now this I could probably just snip it off towards the beginning, but what I want to do is just kind of weave it in, because I don't want to get a bunch of those fibers. So you kind of have an uneven edge here, kind of looks like, from where the beginning loop started and it met up at the end of the round. So I'm going to just kind of weave it through. It's so thick. This stuff is so thick. It's like, and I'm just going back under, kind of to make it look like it's kind of the same pattern as the bottom row there. So now I've almost run out, so I'm going to take the rest of this and I'm just going to kind of tuck it in somewhere in here, you know, weave it in and hide it between the other loops that are already done, and just kind of finding tight spots that I can stick it in and bring it through there like that, and let it go, and then kind of pull on it to get it to hide, and maybe just push it back under to go on the inside. And there you go. There's your hat. It really doesn't take that long. I had a lot of interruptions, so it took me a bit longer. And here is a picture of it completed on my head. I hope you enjoyed it. Like I said, this is my first video doing something like this, and I hope it helps somebody, teach them a little easy craft to do, especially if you're wanting to make something for Christmas and you don't know how to knit or crochet. I mean, this looks knitted. It's super soft, and if you can get them on sale at Michael's or wherever, it's worth the price. I mean, I don't know if I could get another one made out of this, but I'm not sure what else I could make. This is the only pattern I've really looked for, and the only one that I've actually put any time into. I saw it and I wanted to try it, and I did, and I've made 2 hats. Teslin's was a lot bigger because I made it a slouch hat, so I used up a lot more of the yarn than this. But $3 or $4 for a hat, not bad. So I'll leave you with this picture of me wearing it, and I hope you guys have a nice, warm, cuddly evening. Take care. Don't forget to like. Bye-bye.